Hey guys, we are back with another week. We are moving along in the Old Testament. We kind of just finished up with Moses, and we'll be moving into Abraham now. First, God calls Abraham to leave his country, his friends, and his comforts, and to go to a land that God will show him in the future. Now, this is a prime example of obedience and faith. Abraham didn't even know where he was going. God only revealed a very small part of the plan to Abram. And Abram had to take a step to see the next part of the plan. God didn't reveal the entire thing at once. He just said, come with me, drop everything, and I'll show you where you're going to end up going. And Abram obeys. He takes only his wife and his nephew, whose name is Lot. His wife's name was Sarai. I might be saying that wrong. And he has no kids at this point. He's 75 years old. So pretty much the age of like your grandparents. And God said, hey, move out of everything that you know and come and follow me. And so he's obeying God, and he's walking around, and he gets to a land called Canaan. And God tells him that he will give this land to Abram's kids. Now, if you remember, Abram has no kids. He's 75 years old. This is the age of your grandparents. At this point, your grandparents are no longer having kids. And so Abram's thinking, I don't have any kids. I don't know how you're going to give this inheritance to them. And so then, Abram tells these complaints to God, and God promises Abram that he'll give him lots of offspring, so lots of kids. As many offspring as there are specks of dust in the world. Which is a ton. I don't know if you guys have ever had to dust your room. I had to do it as a kid. Not a ton of fun, but there's a lot of it. And you would not be able to count how many specks there are. And so Abram says, okay, God, but how? Because I don't have any kids. And, I'm also super old. I'm past the point of having kids. It's, I don't know how that's going to happen. And so he's thinking maybe one of my servants will be the heir to my bloodline, somebody who's a servant in his house will be able to have kids. And since, he's a servant of Abram, then Abram can claim that kid. And he's trying to think of these ways of how is God going to do it? It doesn't seem like there's, a logical way that I could think of. He has no idea, right? But he's in for the surprise of a lifetime. And so Abram then makes a covenant with God. And God promises to make Abram's descendants as plentiful as the stars in the sky. So now God has promised Abram that the two promises are that there will be as many descendants as specks of dust and as many descendants as stars in the sky. The point is that he will have an uncountable amount of descendants. And so then they do kind of this weird thing where Abram cuts a goat, a cow, and a ram in half, and then God walks through them. And this is kind of if you've ever seen those movies or old cartoons where kids are making an agreement and they spit on their hand and they shake. It's like a severe version of that, a blood covenant between God and Abram. And so God, he's very serious about telling Abram, when I tell you that you're going to have a lot of descendants, lots of kids, I am very serious, and you will indeed have lots of kids. And so Sarai, who is Abram's wife, she's very old. She's a little bit younger than Abram, but still really old. And she did not have faith that she'd be able to bear children. And so she offers her servant to have children with Abram because her servant is younger. And so Abram does have a child with Hagar, who is the servant of Sarai, and he names him Ishmael. This is important to note for later because we'll follow this. And so when she's pregnant, she starts to get angry at Sarai, probably because Sarai was married to the man who's going to be the father of her child, and so she runs away. But then God appears to her and says to go back and to submit to Sarai, and God will make her descendants plentiful. And so the thing that you notice is having descendants be plentiful is very important at this time because it's essentially the only way that your name or image is going to be remembered. And so at this point, God makes another covenant with Abram. And then at this time, Abram changes his name from Abram to Abraham, and Sarai changes her name from Sarai to Sarah, which is great for me because it's a lot easier to say. So Sarah overhears. So actually, what happens is three strangers come to visit, and they tell Abram that in a year he's going to have a son. And Sarah overhears this and laughs, and she says that she's worn out and old, and it's not going to be able to happen. And God asks her if she thinks that the reason why it's not going to happen is because it's too difficult for him. He asks her if she thinks that he's not capable of doing it. And so instead of saying, yes, that is my worry, she says, no, I didn't say that. And she lies to God. And to be fair to her, it's an absurd thing to hear a random stranger tell you that in a year you will have a baby when you're at age 70. It's just very uncommon, and it doesn't really happen much. And so we're breaking up the story of Abram into two parts. So this will be part 1, and part 2 will be coming next week. And that's when the juicy stuff starts happening. So get ready. We hope that you guys have gotten your packages. We hope that you're enjoying them. We just wanted you guys to know that we miss you. We are praying for you and thinking about you. We hope to see you again soon. If you have any ideas or things that you would like to see, or themes, or you just want to talk, I left my number on some of the notes, and if not, you can get in contact with Pastor Toby and he can give you my number. We miss you guys. We'll try and do maybe like a Zoom or something at a little bit later. Okay, bye-bye.